So for those of you questioning, did I hear that right? Or did I read that right? The answer is yes. You heard that right. Superstars is better than Mario Wonder. In every way. Don't believe me? Just give me a few minutes. I guarantee you I can change your mind. So sit back, relax, and grab your snacks. Because today, we are going to talk about Sonic Superstars and why it's better than Mario Wonder in nearly every way. Hi, howdy, hi, hey everyone, it's Archfiend Allister, back again for another video, and we would just like to start this video by showing our utmost gratitude for the last video's feedback. It was astounding how many of you actually gave feedback, and we really appreciate that. We hope that many of you have stayed, and if you are new, be sure to subscribe to Star and show some appreciation by hitting that like and notification bell. The last video on Sonic could be considered a hot take. That's where I was going with this. In that video, we went into a deep dive on why cyberspace is a great addition. If you want to watch that video, you should do that before continuing this one. Now, we're back with another video, and let's not call these hot takes, or at least try not to, because that's not what they are. I feel they are more misunderstood gems, or hidden gems, as some might say. Okay. So, now that we've got that out of the way, let's get into it. I hear all of you already, but Mario Wonder is better in every way. Well, you're wrong. This is our opinion, not yours. So, be quiet, sit down, and listen. Please and thank you. I want to cover 5 key points on why Superstars is better than Wonder, and why we think it is a misunderstood masterpiece. And hopefully by the end, you'll appreciate Sonic just a little bit more. Now, disclaimer, this is not a hate letter to Mario. I swear. Mario Wonder is absolutely a masterpiece of a game for sure. It's simply a love letter to Superstars. And perhaps a proper look back from its brief spotlight before being completely overshadowed by Mario Wonder. We won't talk about that part though. Moving on. All right. Now that we're all ready, we have all that in our brains, let's get some information handed out, shall we? Let us begin with number 1, music. That's right, we're starting off with a bang. Or banger, as the kids say. The music was probably the most controversial thing about this game, other than the gameplay, but we'll talk about that soon. The music in this game is not good. I've heard that so many times, and I agree with you. It's not good by any means. It's great. So great, in fact, one of the songs in this game is Star Chime's top 3 Sonic songs of all time. Maybe we should make a video on top Sonic songs in the future. Now, I can't stress this enough. Music is a personal taste. Yes, there are songs that are considerably worse than others, but generally most people can agree what makes a song great, despite personal taste or preferred genre. Now, I think the main reason the music is so hated is because the instruments used. I could be wrong here, but I think a lot of people do not like the instrument choice and not so much the way it's played. For this game, you see, my dear viewer, Sega wanted to emulate the feeling of the older games, so they limited their musicians to the instruments and sounds used back then, which is certainly an odd choice, but one that definitely doesn't ruin the music by any means. I mean, listen to these. You honestly can't tell me that these aren't bangers. Fire, dope. Are kids still saying these whatever you say, or whatever I say, these are amazing. And on top of that, most zones have a remix of each theme on Act 2. Listen to this. Now, as a man who likes carnival and like casino themed music, that was pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. And Act 2 of the zone hits even harder. To go even further, they even posted Act 1 of this song on their YouTube weeks before release to hype up everyone. And I don't recall anyone hating it. It was all love and hype. These are by no means bad songs. I think perhaps they are different, but these songs belong right up there with City Escape and Speed Highway for sure. There's not much more I can say about the music to convince you, but I want you to listen to this for 15 seconds and just soak it in. I really hope you soak that in because Speed Jungle actually sounds amazing. And honestly, really hits you because you can feel the thrill and the danger throughout the entire thing. And by no means is this a bad soundtrack. And in fact, is a lot better than most people make of it, which is sad because this soundtrack and the entire game for that matter really deserve more respect. Which I couldn't agree more. It is a love letter to fans and newcomers alike, and it shows. Sega put their heart and soul into this, and it's such a shame that it doesn't get recognition. Which, after hearing these and kind of reliving a little bit of like me and my brother sitting down playing Sonic, I feel like it deserves a lot more recognition, I'm not gonna lie. However, that is besides the point. It's enough of the music for now. Let's talk about the next topic. That, in fact, makes this game a masterpiece. And we're moving right on down to number 2, which is level layout. The level design in this game is outstanding. It's so sad people don't understand it because I think they take one look at the level and the physics engine and hate it automatically. Because it is not Mania. But thing is, it's not trying to be Mania. I think if people just saw that, they could enjoy this a lot more. We'll talk more about physics and momentum later. For now, let's focus on the level layout. Each stage in Superstars is masterfully crafted. It shows the love and dedication, and the fact that it fits Sonic and friends' movement. Every enemy, every loop, every ring feels specifically placed. It makes the levels feel so much more special and handcrafted. On top of that, each level is huge, with multiple paths to take and hidden collectibles. It's impossible to play a level once and see everything it has to offer. They are so expressive and enjoyable that the replayability factor shines like never before. This coming from a man who loves replayability. Great factor for a game to have. Though, if you're not a completionist and just looking for a one and done and you're just looking at surface level stuff, I can see how you don't see that. But sometimes it helps to take another look. On top of that, however, each world has its own unique theme. For example, one world is island themed, one is space, one is like this weird 8-bit 3D retro game thingy. We love Pixel, We love Pixel the movie, ladies and gentlemen. It's all so creative and unique. Heck, even the Act 2s of zones have unique themes. They literally changed the original theme for the zone to make the Act 2 feel like a different zone. And each is accompanied by one of the masterfully crafted soundtrack songs we had just listened to moments ago. Every zone has unique enemies and a cute little cutscene explaining what's going on in the story, just like you'd expect from the classic games. One thing, however, that stands out the most is each zone has its own gimmick. For example, in Cyberstation Zone, you're constantly shape-shifting into various forms with their own unique gameplay style. And Press Station Zone has this cool mechanic of a giant machine in the background constantly interrupting the foreground gameplay. Very unique, mind you. It is so fun and unique, no two levels are the same. It would be easy here to compare this to Mario Wonder and clearly state that Mario Wonder levels have reused themes, ideas, and songs. But last time we compared Sonic to Mario, people got mad at us, so instead, let's just move on to number 3, bosses. Another common complaint people often mention is the bosses. They typically do not like the 3-hit system, primarily utilized in Mario games. They think it breaks pace and, more importantly, is just boring. Okay, now as a person who plays games with harder to kill bosses, the 3-hit system's a little refreshing sometimes, I'm not gonna lie. Take a break from Dark Souls, man. Just step away from Dark Souls for 2 seconds. Or like step away from Cuphead. We're here to talk about Sonic Superstars and some intertwining things with Mario. Step away from those two for a second. Now, aside from that, I would like to combat that with a few details, being first and foremost, these bosses are more beginner-friendly and easier to telegraph their attacks, which is what they were going for as they wanted to bring classic Sonic to a new generation of Sonic fans. This also plays into the fact of how a lot of newer games that they come out with, or remakes for old games, tend to not cater to the older audiences as much, because they're trying to draw in the younger generation as opposed to keeping their old fans, who will most likely always come back if they throw out a remake or two. Look at games like, I don't know, Pokemon, Fire Emblem. It's another one. I mean, I could even throw the Digimon games in here. Like, not the freaking recent ones like Cyber Sleuth and Digimon Survive. Digimon Survive is fantastic. That's besides the point. We're not talking about that. I was going to say Digimon World BS, Dusk and Dawn. I loved those games. A lot of people weren't the biggest fan of them just because they felt restrictive, I guess. But that is besides the point, but it's also playing into the point, if you get what I'm saying. Point being, they're trying to cater to a new generation while also knowing their old generation will come back at some point. However, outside of that little tangent, again, I apologize for going on tangents. Furthermore, to hammer this point home, the bosses are all unique, and you damage them in all unique ways, too. And if you don't like, you can easily cheese each fight with the Emerald abilities later, so I think it's unfair to call these boss fights boring or uninspired, because realistically, they are the opposite of that. Each one is so creative, especially in the fact that you literally deal with them all in unique ways, and flows nicely with the platformer mentality, as it should for a platformer game. These are really some of the most unique and diverse boss fights we've ever gotten. As for the boss music, however, yeah, you're kind of right, that one does suck, but only that one. Moving on now to number 4, character diversity. I love me some good characters, so we're gonna get real enthusiastic with this one. So, it's pretty standard stuff by now that Mario Wonder's characters all feel the same. Shocker. I know, right? Well, this is the very next reason Superstars shines. Each character feels unique and special, and on top of that, they each have multiple unique abilities, and some even have unique Emerald abilities and powers. For example, Sonic can drop dash, Knuckles can glide. That's cool. I want to see that man glide again. Tails can fly. We love Tails. And Amy has her hammer. What is Amy without her hammer? They also introduced a new character, which, spoilers, if you haven't played it by now, I guess, Trip. Trip is such a good addition. She functions primarily like the other characters with the additional ability of climbing walls, among a few other things. She also is unlocked with a hard mode that lets you replay the entire story mode with more difficult challenges, more strategic enemy placement, and more dangerous traps scattered all around. That sounds like one of the first new game pluses I have ever heard. Just saying. You can knock Sonic all you want. They might have just came up with the new game plus system with that one. It is a literal joy to unlock her, as many didn't even know she was playable until after you beat the game. So the entire post-game is literally a more difficult version of the other levels with unique layouts and tougher enemies. Her final boss, while some may say is annoying, is actually a very fun challenge. I have heard it called cheap, annoying, boring even, but honestly, it couldn't be further from the truth. It is so fun, fair, and challenging. As far as a boss fight goes, this is a good one. It even has certain moves that instant KO you, which I guess I can see why that's annoying, but for those looking for a challenge, oh boy, is it quite the challenge. And a fun one at that. As a Dark Souls player, as an Elden Ring player who goes through doing full boss run challenges, I want to try that now. I want to fight this boss just because I'm gonna. I like to punish myself apparently. To wrap up this segment, I'd say they all feel pretty good to play and all have different paths you can take through each level. That it's worth playing it again and again. Just testing how far you can go and what treasures you can find as each one. It certainly makes replayability even more fun than it is. Now, last but certainly not least, number 5. We talked about this earlier and we're finally getting to it. Physics and momentum, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Big shocker, we saved this one for last. This is probably the most controversial thing this game dealt with since launch. Now, like I said earlier, people are were primarily upset because it doesn't feel like other Sonic games, but it's not trying to. That's probably one of the best things a game can do sometimes. Double-edged sword. There's a reason they didn't call it Sonic the Hedgehog 4 or 5 or whatever would be next, really. It's because it's not trying to be. Yes, it's slower. You know why? Because it's multiplayer, and that's cool. They do their best to fit 4 players on screen at a moderate pace, and it works pretty well. It's just such a chaotic fun time running around a classic Sonic experience with 3 other friends. I see where Super Mario Bros. Got it from. I remember playing that on the Wii. I see where they got it from now. Those cheeky people. I was doing everything in my power not to say something I shouldn't on this channel. And it more than enough, aside from that, can stand on its own as a Sonic game, as a single-player experience as well. The slow pace doesn't feel like it slows the game flow down at all. In fact, it's very fast feeling, and yet very welcoming and inviting for newcomers as well. I think it's a perfect balance between old and new. As for the momentum, again, this wasn't poorly coded or rushed. It just, and I cannot say this enough, wasn't trying to mimic the past games. Hammer that in there. Games trying something new is not a crime or a felony. It is much more enjoyable if you go into this expecting a rock-solid platformer, because that's what it is. A platformer at heart and a sonic soul. And it shines expertly at that. It's not like this is a bad game. It doesn't handle poorly. It, in fact, feels amazing and super easy to enjoy. A game that can compare to this, and logically compare to this, Pokemon Black and White upon initial release. A lot of people gave it so much slack. Now, I hope after this video, you all have a little more appreciation for the hard work and love that goes into making video games of all kinds and respect Sega just a little bit more. I definitely know I do. This coming from a person who does enjoy the Sonic game where you can actually create your own character, so that's kind of besides the point. That, however, is all I wanted to talk about. Maybe we'll continue this video more after a bunch of angry commenters rage. If you want to join them, be sure to leave your comment down below on why we're wrong. While you're at it, please feel free, whether it's Nintendo, Sega, your favorite childhood song for a level. Playing any game, whether it be Pokemon, whether it be Fire Emblem, whether it be Mega Man, Sonic, Mario, whatever you can think of, Star Fox even. Any game that you can think of that was your childhood and you had a favorite song that's just stuck with you. Personally, mine, Grimsley's Elite Four theme from Pokemon Black and White. That's also why I brought it up. Now, with that question out of the way, see you next time, and thank you all for watching. This has been Archfiend Allister, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.